Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a full-length, step-by-step tutorial on a medium-length hairstyle. Now, I haven't done a woman's haircut in quite some time, but I still, love doing these types of haircuts. I've noticed that trending medium hairstyles, or medium-length hairstyles or something that are starting to become very popular again. So I'm going to be showing you my, signature money cut that I've been doing for many, many years. This is my signature layered hairstyle. So if you're a professional watching this, then you'll get a lot of value out of this. If you're a client or consumer watching this, you'll probably get some interesting things that I'll be going over. So, prepare yourself. This is gonna be a full in-depth tutorial from start to finish. Let's get started. So the first thing that I like to do is, before I even start cutting or anything, is I start to look at the hair and the quality of what's going on. What I need to do, does it look very tangly? How long is it? All of those things. And I always start out with using 25 spray. 25 spray is my second best-selling product. It has 25 hair benefits to it. And what I do is you shake this up. Make sure you shake it because there's a lot of ingredients in here. So shake it up. And what I like to do is press firmly on the nozzle. Don't do a little, you have to really press down because it's a thicker liquid. So in order for it to come out properly, press. And what this product does is it really helps keep the hair nice and moisturized, but it also gets rid of all the tangles. As you can see, I'm spraying this on and instantly the knots are coming out, and it's also just really, really coating the hair with nice benefits and perks and ingredients to help keep the hair moisturized while you're cutting it. So that's the first thing I do. Also notice I'm using the anti-static vent brush. I'm not combing through the hair with a hair cutting comb, which may risk, ripping out some hairs and things like that. So you want to make sure you're always using like a vent brush, wide tooth comb, something to comb out the knots. So it's simply a bit more gentle on the hair. And yes, you're going to see some hair shedding as you do this. Okay, this is a mannequin head, but clearly we got some hair shedding going on. And all I like to do is just get that out of the brush and just get it out of the way. So I'm going to be doing a lot of moving around back and forth. Next, I like to just take a towel and just blot the ends so the hair's not dripping all over the place. Make sure, there's no water in the client's face or in your face. Just clean everything up, all right? Now, I'm going to be utilizing two tools that I do sell on my website. One is my hair cutting comb. All right, this is not my hair cutting comb per se. It's just the combs that I use that I do sell on my website. Okay, you can see this little notch here. It's not that it's broken, but this notch really helps you to section and separate the hair. That's why it's got a little bit of a gap right there. And then also my hair cutting shears. I do sell these hair cutting shears on my website. These are my custom made oh my God, I can't even speak. Hair cutting shears. They are available on my store, shop.TheSalonGuy.com. These are what I use. So everything I'm using today are the tools that I sell on my website. Now, it depends on you as the individual, but how short are we going? So I'm doing a medium length haircut, which to me, medium length is probably about right in through here, right? Up here is probably a bit too short, and where it is now, it's considered more longer, I would say. So I'm gonna be cutting a medium length haircut. I will be incorporating some layers into it, all right? So the first thing I wanna do is, and if you're doing this at home, good luck. It's not, the easiest, but you can attempt if you want. I've had many, many people, believe it or not, I wouldn't trust a bald guy, but some of you do. You are using my tutorials to cut individuals' hair at home, whether it's, I've gotten, oh, my husband watches your tutorials and cuts my hair watching. That's phenomenal. That's incredible. Or you're, a new stylist or somebody new in the industry and you're learning how to cut hair. Whatever it is, hopefully you'll find this helpful. But now what I'm doing is I'm mapping out the haircut. All right? I'm mapping out the haircut, and that's going to help me determine a number of things. It's going to set me up for success. It's going to make me understand, more clear path. So you want to create, again, a center part or somewhere close to center. Right? It doesn't have to be perfect, but anywhere in this vicinity is very, very important. Next, you want to find out where the head is the flattest, and I do this by laying a comb on the top of the head like this, and so it's about right in through here. Usually it's right behind the ear, and we call this the division point, and that separates the front from the back. You can even just push the hair like this, and you see it wants to split. All right, very, very easy tricks and techniques. But why I'm doing this is simply because I want to separate the front from the back. This is called the division point. It separates the two because while we're cutting, it's very important to understand that the back of the hair is, separate from the front. And it's something that when it comes to hair cutting that I've learned over the years, it's really important to map this out. Now, you can twist this, you can put it in clips if you want. I have a clip laying around, I only have one. So you can clip this, and I do sell these clips on my site too. You can clip that out of the way, that's it, no big deal. Next, we're gonna come on the other side, again, right behind the ear. This is where the hair likes to split usually. We're separating the front from the back. Why are we doing this? Simply because I want to have a clear path, a clear vision of defining these two areas and these two sections on the head because they are very, very different. And I'll explain why in a minute. I don't have a clip for this. Unfortunately, I don't know where my clips went, but you can just comb this out of the way. And I'm someone who cuts hair without really using clips. So sometimes I just twist it and push it out of the way. As long as you can clearly define this area, the front and the back, you'll be good to go. All right, next, we have the entire back in through here, okay? The entire back section, and we are ready to go. We're ready to start cutting, and I'm excited about this. So, speaking of clips, I am going to look for a clip somewhere. Okay, I've got a butterfly clip right in through here. And why I'm going to use this, and you don't have to, but if I am going to section something, it's definitely going to be for the back because usually this is where all the hair is. It's a lot thicker. So let's take a section and we're going to create a horizontal section. Now you don't want to have this section too thick, all right? You don't want to have this section too thick at all because it's going to be too much hair to cut and it may bunch up in the scissors. So I'm just going to comb the hair through. You always want to be ABC, always be combing, okay? Always be combing, and we are ready to go. So there's a few ways that you can cut this. Now for the straightest lines ever, sometimes what I will do is I'll comb this straight down. You can lock the comb in like this, and you can cut just simply like that. All right, I gotta find a good position here so I'm not gonna be in everyone's blocking everybody. You can comb it straight down. You can do the traditional where you're holding it like this. The problem when holding it, and I've cut the straightest lines I've ever cut by using no fingers, is sometimes the shoulder or the elbows drop down like this and you're not cutting a straight line, okay? So what I like to do, and I may be moving around just for purposes of, getting the right angles, I'm going to turn this towards me a little bit and I'm gonna comb this straight down like this. I'm not gonna use any tension whatsoever with my fingers. I'm gonna lock it in. I'm gonna use the comb as like a ruler, all right? Just like that. Comb down on this side right in through here. And I'm trying to keep this as level as I possibly can. And I apologize because I'm trying to keep this at a camera angle, the right camera angle view, so sometimes it may not look super even because I'm trying to adjust, but I'm cutting my base. This is my foundation, all right? The foundation is the most important thing of the haircut. And you will be amazed on how long I take just to do the outline of the haircut because I've learned years and years ago, if you don't have a solid foundation, the haircut is not going to be as good as it can, all right? You always want to have a solid foundational line or outline of the haircut, all right? Now, as we get into the corners here, this is very, very important. I'm taking down a section where it's fine enough where I can see the underneath, but also not too heavy where I don't see the guideline underneath. The guideline is what you see, what you previously cut from the last section. Now, what I am gonna do, and this is really, really, really important, this is literally like life-changing, okay, when it comes to this, it's life-changing, because what you don't want to happen is you don't want the corners to be cut. A lot of times I'll see people take this, they step over here and they cut. Next thing you know, they're cutting upwards and creating an angle going short here. What you want to do is keep all of the hair behind the ear like this. Think of this as like, I've learned this many years ago, as like a box. You're cutting within these parameters right here, within this box, all right, or this area. You're not whatsoever bringing this way out here or standing on the side here, because we're not working on the sides, we're working on the back. So it's really, really important that we continue to keep this area all behind the ear, and I'll explain to you why. This is going to help from preventing any sorts of like holes or weird issues in the hair, all right, in the corners. So here we go, locking it in. There's my guide from before, and all I'm doing is cutting straight across. Now here we go. I'm keeping this, I'm combing it, but I'm keeping it behind the ear. I'm not extending it. If anything, you could also leave it a bit longer, just as some added protection right through here. But there we go. Leave that corner right in through there. Same thing on this side. And I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to cut the straightest lines you've ever cut by using no tension or no fingers whatsoever. All right, so there we go. Next, let's take all this down. We could probably do this all in one section. And hair cutting really does not have to be that difficult. What makes it difficult is when I see people, you know, especially if they're new or not so experienced with hair cutting, they start to, you know, the essentials start to fall apart. They're bad posture, they're not standing in the right area. There's a lot of things that can contribute to, you know, not cutting the haircut properly. So here we go, right down the middle. All right, nice, easy snips. Don't forget, comb this way within the box. There we are. All right, there's that side is complete. Now let's turn the mannequin head this way. Again, I'm standing, I have not moved. I'm basically standing in the same spot that I did when I first started this haircut. All right, so you do not want to move. Really, you don't have to move, to be honest with you. You can just stay in the same exact area. So there we go, we're done. And we have a beautiful, sharp, I mean, look at how clean that is, how straight that is. It's literally like razor sharp, all right? Great, we're done with the back. Now, I know that you're probably like, why would you take that? You're gonna be, you know, because I'm telling you, you have to have a good foundation when creating a haircut, all right? Foundation is the most important. Guess what? We're done. But notice how we have kept this corner. Again, this is the most important thing. Never, ever, ever come all the way onto this side like this and cut this. Always keep it behind the ear in this area. And I'm going to show you why right now. We're going to comb this section straight down. And this is where we're going to merge and connect the side or sides into the back. Now, if I were to have lost this corner, you see how we have this piece still here, which is protected? If I were to stand on this side and cut this way, this corner would be gone and the haircut would start angling up way too soon. We don't want that to happen. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually connect the dots right here. Here we go. And I'm going to try to stand as close as I possibly can to where I'm not going to be blocking. But here we go. We're going to comb this down and we're going to keep this a bit angled, right? And we're going to protect that corner right there. There it is. We have it. All right. Now, let's start working into the angle. I always like to create like a face frame for these types of haircuts just to give a little body and volume throughout the front, depending on how high you want to go. The higher you go, the more of a fringe or a longer fringe you're going to create. You know, the longer you leave this, then it's not going to be that much of kind of a face frame. It's a different type of haircut. It becomes more of like a bob to an extent, all right? I'm not trying to create, I mean, this is kind of a bob in a sense, or a layered bob, but we're not wearing it like that. I'm going to be, you know, styling this with a lot of volume and movement to it, all right? So what I want to do is now I'm going to comb straight down, and I'm going to back out a little bit here, and this is where I'm going to introduce some of the layering. So I'm going to have my fingers pointed up towards the ceiling so we can cut palm to palm. Anytime we're cutting palm to palm, the fingers are pointed upwards. And this just helps produce a really good angle. All right, so there we go. Now let's go right to the very, very front. This is literally the front of the hair. This is what's going to be seen, right? This is what's going to be seen if the hair is downwards. And this creates the flow. This creates the feathering, the layers, all that stuff. So I'm going to create this nice, beautifully connected angle. And again, this is just the foundation of the haircut, believe it or not. I have not done any layering whatsoever. This is purely the foundation. Let's get a nice close look at that. As you can see, this is what you want to see. You do not want to see this angle starting way back in through here. We got to protect this, and that's why I left this corner in through here. Here's where you want to start to work this up, so it's a lot softer. All right, now let's go on the other side. And if you keep this simple, friends, if you keep this simple, then it's really, it doesn't have to be that complicated, okay? Here we go. Again, I'm standing directly in front of where I'm going to cut. There's that piece, that corner we left before, and we're going to cut straight across. There we go, one snip. All right, one snip. Here we go. Now we're going to go into the very, very front to create the angle, just like we did on the other side. And now I'm going to angle my fingers downwards, right in through here. There's the corner that we're leaving, and we're going to cut upwards. All right, we're going to cut upwards. And basically what you want to do is you have to try to remember, like visually remember where or how long you actually cut it, right, on the other side. So let's pull this down to check. And for once, we're even Steven. Let's bring this down right into the front and center. There's that little piece right there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb all this hair forward like this. And this is really going to give me a good understanding. This is also going to help remove any excess weight. Even though we are going to layer it, this really just gives you a new perspective on the haircut as far as how things are balanced, how things are laying. All right, there we go. And what's going to happen is you may start to see areas that may feel a bit longer, may feel a bit heavier. This is all about feel, okay? The hair, I like to say the hair talks to you. It's going to be like, hey, this is too long, cut me. All right, so here we go. Now, the reason I spent so much time, folks, why I spent so much time doing this foundation, simply because if you or your client or whoever were to just get up and leave, they will have a gorgeous haircut. This haircut, if it's fully blow dried, will have a perfect, beautiful face frame that you don't have to do anything to. All right, it may be a little bit heavier, not have as much movement, but this haircut blow dried will look gorgeous. And that's why I spent all this time. If you screw any part of this up, meaning like if you create any holes in through here, if you create any uneven lines, you're gonna have an issue. This is why, right, I'm not really seeing clients anymore, taking new clients, but I'd be charging $250 a pop, right? $250 a haircut for any of my haircuts, okay? So I spend a lot of time in my haircuts, at least an hour, probably around that, especially if I'm talking, but around an hour is what I would book for, a haircut. Male or female, doesn't really matter, because I like to take my time. Yes, you're gonna pay a premium price, but you're also getting all that dedication, and your haircut will grow out looking phenomenal. The difference between a haircut that grows out looking bad in 3 to 5 weeks, as opposed to my haircut, which lasts for about 3 to 4 months, maybe 5 months, it depends, but my haircuts will grow out looking really, really good. All right, so now let's talk about the layering process. Now, the layering process is interesting because the layering all starts right here, okay, right in the back, and this is my technique and my method for cutting layers and creating shapes and things like that, is I start right in through here because we have to work. We're now going back in the past again. We're now going to work on the back of the head. This layering right here, this area, if you cut this too short, say you cut all this hair off, right? All this hair, and it ends up being this length. Guess what? It falls right here. You've got super, super short layers. Then you have to cut everything that short. Now we're looking more into like a shag type of haircut, and it's going to be very, very layered. And if you cut this too short, you're absolutely ruined. I've done that once or twice in the past in my career where I actually made this too short. This ended up being a lot longer. It was not fun. The client noticed it right away and I was like, oh, what did I do? So don't make those mistakes. But what you do need to understand is that you've got, this length here that we have to assess and create, and also we've already established our layered or face frame length right in through here, okay? So we have to connect these two lengths. We have from between here and here to do it. So I like to always leave this a little bit longer. I don't want to make it as even as this as far as the length. I like to make this slightly longer in the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut and establish our length, which is going to be right here. And I apologize if my shoulder, it's hard to see here if my shoulder's in the way, but let's go right here, okay? Let's cut, that's our length for the layers. It's gonna fall down just where we need it to fall. But remember, if you're cutting your hair yourself, wherever you cut this, that's where the layering is going to start to take place. All right, so my technique is I push this out of the way. All right, we're done with that. And I'm going to take a horizontal, think of the horizon as straight across, a horizontal section just like this. I'm going to comb it straight up. All right, straight up. There's the guide right there that we just cut. And I'm going to cut this straight across. So now we have two sections that are up to here, okay? Now I'm going to take a third section right underneath that, depending on the thickness of the hair or how much hair there is. It depends on what you are going to do with this haircut. You may have to take 4 sections, 3 sections, 2, it all depends. But this is my third section. And once again, I'm combing that straight across. Now we have 3 sections that we cut perfectly even. We're in even Steven mode right now. All right, folks? So what are we going to do now? We're going to let that drop down. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So let's take our top section right in through here. And we're going to take a little sliver of that section from the other side. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to comb it straight up and we're going to cut straight across. Again, I apologize if I'm blocking at any period throughout doing this haircut. I'm trying to do this so you all can see. All right, one more section here. And then we have one more after that. So we're doing 3 sections in total for the back, top of the back of the head. There we go, there's the guide. And you wanna try to keep your elbow, I don't wanna block like this. You wanna try to keep your elbow as level as you possibly can. Also, it's key to hold on to the hair you just cut. Hold on to it. You can hold on to it just like this. And then we're gonna do one more section right before we get to the occipital bone, which is the bone in the back of the head, where everything starts to round out. We're gonna comb this straight up, right? Comb it straight up, and we're gonna have nicely even layers right into here. And there we go. So what have we done? And this is what's gonna be great, this whole thing here that we've already done here, is we just created seamless, perfectly balanced layers throughout the top back of the head. Now watch this. You don't see anything, right? Well, that's perfect because you don't want to see the layers. If you start to see chops in the hair and things that are unbalanced, and you're getting hacked, right? That's what I call a hack job. It's a crime scene haircut. You don't want to do that. You created a massacre. So again, this is where it gets complicated doing it yourself, to be honest with you. But if you have someone who's watching along, hopefully, and following, you can do this and duplicate what I'm doing. So where do we go now? It's time to part the C's, and we're gonna go right down the middle, right into here. Now I'm gonna be cutting differently. I'm changing my hand position, my body position, and I'm combing this all straight out. There's the guide from up there, and there is the bottom half that needs to be cut. Let's extend this all the way down to the bottom, and we're gonna cut just slightly. What is all this? This is all the length in through here. This usually, once you get this far down, does not need a lot of cutting, but you don't want to leave it neglected, because what happens if you don't cut that? That is when the hair, you may notice this, becomes very, very heavy. If you notice that your hair doesn't have any movement down here, it's because the person cutting it is not going all the way down to the bottom. It's very important. There's been loads of times where people say, oh, it just feels really heavy in the back. Then I look, I'm like, yeah, nobody cut down here. So once again, let's comb this straight out from the head the way it grows. There's the guide from before. I'm gonna cut straight up, hold on to this section. Yes, you're gonna hold on to that section right there because that is your lifeline to the entire haircut in the back. Let's go all the way down here. And there we go. You can see I'm letting this release, but all that weight is cut above that. All right, once again now, keep the sides out of the way. We're working purely on the back of the head. Now, we're gonna comb this straight back, and we're gonna try to still remain in that area that we mentioned before, that box, all right? You don't wanna get out of that box. So I'm starting to push and comb the hair more towards the center or straight back. And again, why do we wanna do that? Because you wanna maintain the weight. You wanna maintain the weight in the haircut. All right, now, here we go. This is the last section on this side for the back of the head, which is this right here. This is the corner now. We're in the back of the head in the corner, and we're gonna comb this, and notice what's gonna happen. I'm combing this straight back, not out towards me. Do not comb it out towards you or in towards you. Comb it away from you. There's the guide right there, and we're gonna cut that. Now let's go down to the bottom right here. We're gonna look for a little bit of weight right there. And let's see if we see anything down and through here. And we're gonna see just a little bit, all right? Guess what? That's done. Time to work on the other side. So remember, we finished the one side of the head, we still have the other side of the back of the head to do. If you're following along, I know I'm going through this kind of, I wouldn't say quick, but very efficiently. Just make sure that you are following along. You can go back and rewind the video and watch again. But once you get the hang of this, it's like just following the outline. All right, so there we are in the back. There's the guide from before, and we're working our way down. All this is doing is connecting the dots. It's connecting the haircut, making sure everything is balanced, because if you don't have a balanced haircut, that's why it's not gonna lay properly, all right? It's not gonna lay properly if you don't have that. So what I like to do is take a section, push the hair out of the way. So I've got a nice clean section. I'm combing this straight back, okay? I'm not over directing or anything. It's just literally just a straight line from how it grows out from the head and straight back towards me, okay? Hold on to this. Again, hold on to, for dear life, that section there so you have a good guide. There's the very, very bottom right there. And we should have probably two more sections throughout the corner. Let's push that out of the way. Actually, we'll do this in one shot. So you get a good visual of me combing the hair straight back. Again, not out. Whatever you do not go out. You will destroy the haircut. This is where you want to pull the hair straight back towards you. I'm telling you right now, I've seen it when I've taught haircutting lessons in person, where people will massacre the haircut just simply by doing that, all right? So I'm combing it straight back. There is the bottom corner right there, which is very important to get, and we're gonna cut it. So now what I'm gonna do, we're completely done with the back, and as you can see right here, we've created nice movement, nice texture through here. You don't really see any of the layers whatsoever, and that's great because you don't wanna see the layers. You can comb this straight down, it looks like nothing was done. But then you can see all the texture and layers we created from this. And that's also AKA movement, a lot of movement in the hair. So now what I like to do is I like to just be a little more creative, and I go in like this and I will just rework and look at some of the angles and the sections, and I'm just gonna kind of go through everything from a few different perspectives of how I cut the hair. I'm gonna comb it a certain way, right? And 95% of the time, you're gonna see something that you may not like or you may need to cut. This is the cross-checking or just checking the haircut, all right? Checking the haircut from a different perspective, what that does is it means that the hair can be moved around in a variety of different ways, okay? It can be moved around in a variety of different ways without having any sort of issues. Meaning it's not going to be too heavy, it's not going to be, it's going to lay perfectly. That's why I like to go through this. Again, hence why I take an hour or so to do a haircut, simply because if I didn't do all this, then chances are there may be some issues. It's about being thorough and giving the value. It comes down to the value of the haircut. I don't think I can give much value doing a haircut in 15 minutes, you know, charging $25 for a haircut. I can't do it. I'm not going to be giving the full value of what I could be, right? I'm not going to be doing that. So that's why sometimes I say it's important. Yeah, you may have to pay a little bit more. Okay, you may have to pay a little bit more, but it could, in the long term, it could actually end up being a much better solution. Okay, so all right, we are done with the back now, and I think the back looks phenomenal. We're good to go. It's got some great shape, some great texture, and great movement. Now we have to connect the back into the top. So how do I go about doing that? Well, it's a little complicated, but it's also easy once you get the hang of it. So remember, we had the division point right through here. This is the side of the head that we're looking at right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a section in front of the division point like this. Now we're kind of going into new territory on the head. We're moving into the top of the head, where before we were more focused on the back. Now we're going into this part of the land on the head, and I'm going to take this section that I held up from back here. I'm going to take this section, and I'm now going to connect this into this area. You're going to see that here's where you cut before. Let's get a little bit closer. There's where you cut before, and this is what I just cut right now. All right, I'm going to drop this down a little bit more. And that is how I, and you can, but this is what I do, is how I connect the top into the back. So there we go. There's the section that I cut from before. Now this is the new area that we're cutting, which is in this area, okay? That's the best way, in my opinion, to connect the top and the back. If you hold it straight up, horizontally, I'm cutting vertically now. If you hold it straight up, you're gonna create a line in the hair, and we wanna prevent that from happening, all right? We do not want any sort of choppy layers whatsoever. We want a seamless flow. Perfect example, there's the top, and we're cutting forward. There we go. So guess what? Now we fully entered into this part of the head, which is now the top, and we can leave the past behind finally. So let's focus on just this area, the middle of the head, right? The middle. That's why the parting right here, it's important, but not like super, super important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another section going now once again horizontally, and we're only going to work in the middle. We're only going to work in the middle, or can call this maybe the mohawk section, but I'm only going on the top of the head. This is the top, the corners, and the sides. Top, corners, sides. Keep that in mind. There we go. Straight up. And now we can safely cut straight across because we've already cut everything else. To blend it, let's take a section right in through here, right down the middle. There we go. And we're going to cut straight across. Excuse me. What's going to happen is as we get closer and closer, there's going to end up being no hair to cut right in through here, simply because we blended it. We did a great job. So let's comb this straight up from the head. And there we go. We have a fully cut top of the head. All right. And let's just connect all this once again to make sure everything is blended evenly. Beautiful. So now what I'm going to do is, and we're going to go back in and reconnect that, because I noticed there was a lot more hair that came off in that area, and that's totally fine because we can easily just go in and correct that. Now we're going to work on the corners. So now we're going to hold this straight out. There's the corner, and we're going to cut the corner. Here we go into the back. Now we're into the sides, and we're going to cut that. Let this drop down this way. All right, here we go. Working into the corners. Again, this is where the hair or the head rounds out. That's the corner, hold on to that. Now we're gonna drop down into the sides and we're gonna let the bottom, the very, very bottom, drop down, which is this. We don't ever wanna cut into the length because that's where holes and things like that happen. Notice that I'm really trying to follow a steady pattern here. All right, don't cut into the bottom, the length. That's what we spent all that time in the beginning trying to really establish and protect, was all that length. There's the corner, you can see it. It's gonna really stand out to you. Here is the bottom. This is also really, really, really important when cutting the corners and the sides, is because all of this down into here, right? If you don't cut this area and you have all this weight just hanging down, then it's gonna be very, very heavy, all right? So let's just quickly cross-check this side into here. And the way I like to do this is just going in this way and diagonally just checking, right? I'm just looking for any sort of areas or weight that doesn't seem connected or blended. Usually it's all pretty good. And we're just about done with this side, and we're gonna go to the other side. There's the weight from the corner. Good thing we left it, but we don't have to take anything off because we did a great job of balancing. So I'm gonna stand in the same spot. You can spin the client around. Let's get this center section out of the way. We're gonna work into the corners, and here we go. So now we're gonna pick up right from the top back. I'm standing right here, so unfortunately the armpit is gonna be in the client's face. Make sure you have good deodorant on. And then, here we go, into the sides. Comb it straight out like this. There's the length and the weight on top of the foundation. You're gonna see we don't need to cut the foundation because it's already established, it's already there. We have a strong base. We're just focusing on the corners, sorry. It's like a moving target with hair, I swear. All right, here we go. Let's get the bottom of this, or the sides, get rid of all that weight. Let's do one more section right in through here. Don't forget the corner of the head. Pull it straight up, there it is. And don't cut too much. You don't want to cut in areas that you already did. But if you see hair that's really heavy that needs to be cut, then get rid of it, okay? So now let's go in on, again, an angle like this. Let's just cross-check this way, working our way downwards. We can strengthen up any sort of lines we see. We can cross-check. We can just make sure that everything is laying perfectly. There's a little bit of weight right there. And this is the time to just cross-check and make sure and perfect what you worked on, all right? There we go, beautiful. So now, this is where we're gonna tie in everything together. Remember how I said before, I noticed that there was a lot, I was like, wait a minute, why am I cutting all sorts of hair on top? Well, now we're gonna find out. So let's bring this down. You're gonna stand on the opposite side of where you cut, and we're going to create like a mohawk section right down the middle, and we're gonna actually check this vertically. So let's start in the very, 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 very front here. Let's take a section. Now, this is important to understand. The hair does not grow straight up from the head, it grows straight out from the head. So a lot of times this ends up being very heavy because everyone brings it straight up like this and it falls into the face. The hair grows out from the head, not always straight up. So let's bring this out, and there is a little bit of that weight. That little bit makes so much difference. So now let's continue, and this is how we're gonna cross-check and balance the entire haircut. All right, there is a little bit of weight there. Here we go, into the top of the head, and there it is. There's a little piece that needed to be blended right there, okay? And that's the great thing about this, is that all you need to do is cut that piece or pieces in order for the haircut to be blended. So now we're gonna bring everything to the center where we just cut. Remember, comb this straight out from the head this way. There's the little guide in the front. and we're gonna comb straight up from the head or straight out from how it grows, and we're gonna work our way all the way back to where it's connected in through here. Most of the time, we're probably not gonna end up having to cut anything from over there because it's already gonna connect into itself. That's what's great about this. So over direct to the center, and the reason we're doing this is simply just to protect the length, but this is a great way to help remove any weight and to make sure that everything is balanced and perfectly even. So that side, we're fully good on that side. We're gonna go into this side now, and I'm gonna comb away from me. I'm gonna push the hair away from me. Again, let's go into the front. We're gonna comb out, and there is some hair right there. It needs to come off, and let's comb straight out from the head. All right, and yes, we are cutting hair. We're seeing some hair that needs to be trimmed up. But you know what? That's what this whole process is for, to double check, to make sure everything is working in sync, and this is the best way to cross check and to double check that everything is balanced. Even that little piece right there, that little piece we need to cut. All these hairs are important. Beautiful. So now, I felt another hair just go right at my eye, so let's get all this hair out. And again, I'm trying to do this all live so that there's no interruptions. I turned my phone on silent because I've already seen the watch going off like 90 times already. All right, here we go. So now the moment of truth here is to really check and see how the haircut is laying, all right? And the best way to do this is, there we go, straighten this thing out, beautiful. Now I'm gonna rake my hands through the hair, and this is what you should be doing if you are working on a client. You wanna check for balance, pull everything straight out from the head. This may be the best haircut I think I've ever done in my career, and it's beautiful, okay? Beautiful shape, beautiful layers. I think this is gonna be an awesome haircut. This is, you can let this air dry, you can let this, I mean, there's a number of things you can do. Let's hit it with 25 spray once again. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Tidal Wave Sea Salt spray. If you want a voluminous, full haircut, you want a full hairstyle volume, you want some support, some hold to it, use Tidal Wave. All right, and you spray it section by section right on the root area. All right, let's get some right in the front. And what this is going to do is it's going to help establish some volume in the root area. All right, this is how you get volume in the root area, like this. And be very thorough throughout the entire hair. Notice how I'm not spraying it like an excess, maybe, and then one or two for good luck. There we go. And then I like to just work it through this way, get the product saturated in the hair. And now we could start the blow dry process, and I am going to use my round brush and my blow dryer. Okay, so these are available on shop.thesalonguy.com. Check them out, and I really appreciate all the support from all of you who purchased these. These blow dryers, I actually can keep them in stock because I had to purchase so many of them, but I made some upgrades to the box and to the dryer itself. But here's what it looks like. Right, it comes with the nozzle and the diffuser, which is important, magnetic attachments, and I'm ready to go. So what I usually do when I blow dry the hair is I will kind of lightly rough dry it, all right, and then I'll just start to blow dry, and I start in the front and work my way back. I don't really use clips. I get the job done relatively quickly. I'm gonna have the air on, so I'll try to like lower the volume a little bit, but I wanna do this real time so you can all see. All right, here we go. All right, friends, this is a ton of work. I feel like I just delivered a child. But if the client is still alive and breathing after this point, this is what I call the money shot. All right, what I'm about to do now is something I've been doing for many, many years. It's my signature money move that I do. So I have the client tilt the head back as long as within their comfort level. Right, let's get this head straight. And what I do is now I will rake back everything. And when you see, when I push the head forward, the magic will happen. All right, this is the money shot. Here we go. So let's bring all this hair, rake with your fingers. Let's bring all this hair straight back like this, off the face. All right, let's rake and connect everything together like so. Raking, raking, raking with the fingers. We are ready for the magic to happen. All right, let's bring the head forward like this, and here we go. Now I can see the camera a little bit. I can see the face. Let's try to maneuver and work this in so I can get this all flowing nicely. I'm just kind of talking to myself because I can't see a darn thing. And look how beautiful this whole haircut is. All right, I'm just gonna step in front this way. Normally I would just rake it back like this. But now let's start with what we've created throughout the sides here. Look how gorgeous this is. This is literally a perfectly layered haircut. And as you can see, we've got the flow all working. Now, I flipped it up. I'm very used to flipping this. It's what I've always done. I've always flipped it, right? But I want to show you when you rake back all these layers, look at how beautiful this is. All right, look at how that just falls right into place. And we can work this in this way. There's a lot we can do. We can open this all up. You can tuck it behind the ear this way and have a beautiful kind of look. All right, but look how gorgeous that is. You can see all the movement. Let's rake this side back. Here we go. Now this is where all the magic happens, right into here. And look how gorgeous this is, right? Here we go. Look at that. I mean, beautiful. It's literally, this is my signature, perfectly layered haircut, right? You can part this over on the side if you want. You can make it a bit more, modern, sophisticated if you want to angle, maybe take some of the weight out and just smooth it down a little bit. You can do kind of more of a side parting like this. Let's split this over a little bit more so it's not so extreme. There we go. Okay, you can tuck this side behind the ear like this. But when you have, ladies and gentlemen, a perfectly balanced, beautiful haircut, you have total freedom and flexibility to wear it in a variety of different ways. All right? Totally, I didn't use any sort of curling irons, no smoothing irons, no nothing. It was all basically worked in from the haircut. You can also, really accentuate these pieces. Again, I'm doing this with like no finishing product whatsoever. Here you can see how I'm just piecing this out. If you want to have something a bit more kind of edgy, right? You can piece all these layers out, these face frames. You can even separate them like this, right? It's all doable. Let's flip the hair on the other side. You can flip it in a variety of different ways, styling wise. Let's go over this way. I know the hair is like totally in the face, but and if this is going against your natural parting, then you can change it up then maybe wear it only on the one side, okay? But this is a beautiful option again if you want to go over this way a little bit, or just go right back down the middle like this and just rake it through, and the haircut is going to fall right into place, right? And then you can finish it off with a little bit of hairspray. I have my hairspray, which is called Locked. Now I like to use a little bit of hairspray, but once you feel that you are ready to go with this thing and you want to lock it in place, then you can spray this, all right? Let's work this back this way. So I like to spray and rake, spray it and rake it. I don't use a whole lot, just a little bit. And there it is. All right, a very sophisticated haircut. This is my money cut. All right, again, I would be $250 a pop for something like this. I'm not really taking clients anymore, but you know, the amount of daily messages and comments I get oh, I want to fly to you, salon guy. I don't care where you are. Please let me, cut my hair. And I'm just like, I'm very humbled and thankful. I probably still have a chunk of hair in my eye somewhere, but I'm very, very thankful that all of you are interested in having me cut your hair. I appreciate that. Maybe I'll start picking it up again. I don't know, but let me know in the comments below if you like this haircut, if this is something that you've kind of always wanted. Again, it's a big job, even though I talked a lot all the way through it. This is a big job haircut. It's not for the someone who just started cutting hair. Hopefully, if you are new with haircutting, you've learned something from this, because this is really my signature haircut. And I put a lot of work into this. So if you can duplicate this and create it on other people, it would be very, very awesome. But use code YouTube20 if you are interested. If you want to give back a little value to me or something, use code YouTube20 at shop.thesalonguy.com. You can buy the blow dryer, all the styling products, the brushes. I mean, everything is ready to go at shop.thesalonguy.com, YouTube20. Let me know if you enjoyed this, if you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.